Good morning. Today we are finishing up Unit 9, working on those shapes with the perimeters and circumference and areas and surface areas, volumes. We got a lot of geometry packed into this unit. Today is our last day. Today we are doing CO59. I can calculate the volume of a cylinder. So today is the last objective. So tomorrow will be a review day in class. We're going to go through it, talk about what we should have on our note cards for each objective, because you really are going to want a help sheet for this test. It will really help you. So we'll go through that in tomorrow's class. Thursday, we're going to do the practice test. Friday will be the real test. So I will have time Wednesday and Thursday after school if people want to stay after to get some extra help on going through, making sure we understand how to use the formulas, making sure we understand how to make a net, all of those kind of things. So I will have after school Wednesday and Thursday if you want to plan on staying after one of those days or both of them, just to make sure you have a good understanding of the material. So today I can calculate the volume of a cylinder. So yes, last week we did the volume of the rectangular prism. So now let's look at what we have to do for the volume of a cylinder. A cylinder is a solid with two congruent bases that lie in parallel planes. What shape is the base of a cylinder? Who remembers? Circle. So when we talk about that cylinder, we have the circle on the bottom, circle on the top, and it's three-dimensional. It's like a can. It can be on its side, it can be standing upright. The volume is the amount of space a solid contains. So it's how much can we fill that can with. That is its volume. To find the volume of a cylinder, volume, remember, is V, of a cylinder is the product of the area of a base and the height. So the base times the height. So what we need to do is think, how do we find the volume, the area of the bases? The area of a circle, remember, is pi r squared. And then we have to multiply it by the height. Just like when we did the area of a rectangle, length times width, to find the volume, we also multiplied it by height. Same thing with our circle cylinder. We find the area of the base, that circle, and we multiply it by the height. So pi r squared h, multiplying those out. What number does pi equal? What number is pi? Tristan? 3.14. What does it mean when we square something? Mia? Times it by itself. So r times r. These are important to remember when we're plugging our numbers into our formula. Pi is 3.14. And when we square, we multiply that number by itself. We don't multiply it by 2, we multiply it by itself. So let's see if we can work through one of these problems. You buy two cylindrical candles, A and B. A has a diameter of 4 inches and a height of 8 inches. So if we were to use this as our candle A, it has a diameter of 4 inches and a height of 8 inches. Now we have candle B has a diameter of 6 inches and a height of 5 inches. So it's a little bit wider and a little bit shorter. So this diameter is 6 inches and our height is 5 inches. which candle contains more wax? Which one has a bigger volume? In order to do that, we have to find the volume of both candles and then compare them. So looking at that, if we know the diameter, how can I find that volume of pi r squared? What do I have to do first before I can do my multiplying, Peyton?
Oh, I messed up. I did multiplying and I split. So I don't think that's wow.
Look at step 1. Tristan?
We need to find the diameter.
We have the diameter.
We need to find the radius.
We need to find the radius, because remember, we want to work with the radius. The radius is only half of the diameter. So if they give you a diameter, you need to remember that you have to divide it by 2 to find the radius. So the radius of A would be what? It would be 2 inches. Because the diameter is 4 inches, half of that is 2. What is the radius of B? Our radius is 6, so half of 6 is 3. So there are 2 different candles, 2 different radiuses. Don't be having the 2. Oh, did you have the 5? What was it that you were having that you got a decimal? Okay. So now that it's a Monday in our heads, I get it. Even though it's Tuesday, it feels like a Monday. Step 2 is calculate the volume of each candle using this formula. So for A, the volume equals pi r squared times the height, which is 8. So that would be 3.14 times 2 squared, which is 4, times 8. What do you get, Landon? 100.48 inches. And we're going to cube it because we multiplied it 3 times. There's 2 inches we multiplied here, 1 inch there, so there were 3 inches that we multiplied. So now for candle B, our volume equals pi times r, which is 3 squared times the height of 5. So 3.14 times 3 squared, which is 9. 3 times 3 is 9, times 5. Peyton?
141.3.
0.3. So let's go back to what our question was asking. Which candle contains more wax? Candle A or candle B? Rhea? Candle B contains more wax. 141.3 is bigger than 100.48. So it's like we've been doing this whole unit. You have your formula, you plug in the numbers that you know, and you solve for your variable. Our variable here was the volume. So we just had to multiply them all together. Finding the radius of a cylinder, we're going to use the same formula. V equals pi r squared h. We're going to plug in the numbers that we know. Are we good if I erase so I can move it up so we can see it better? All right, so we know volume equals pi r squared times h. So we're going to take the numbers that they give us and plug it into our formula and solve for our variable. So a cylinder has a height of 9 feet and a volume of 706.5 cubic feet. Find the radius of the cylinder, use 3.14 for pi. So what is my equation going to look like? Landon,
Pi.
start at the beginning. Nope, do we know what V is?
Yeah.
So we're gonna plug that number in for the V.
That would be 6.5 equals pi r squared times 9.
Because we know the height is 9, so we can plug a 9 in for that. We know pi is 3.14. So we can plug that number in for pi, 3.14. So what steps do I have to do? How can I solve for r? What do I have to do, Gabby? So I'm going to divide by 3.14, so I can take care of this. Divide by 3.14. What is 706.5 divided by 3.14? Anybody have it? Aiden?
225.
Say it louder for me.
225.
225?
Yep.
Any decimal?
No.
So that equals r squared times 9. So what's my next step? Lily?
225.
I need to divide both sides by 9. What is 225 divided by 9, Peyton?
25.
That equals r squared. Is that my r? What do I have to do to get it to be just r? Because that's r squared, and I want it to be just r. We're not going to divide by 2 because we're not multiplying by 2. Kira?
Where?
I need to find the square root. So it's not the square. The opposite of squaring is finding that square root. Remember that square root sign. What is the square root of 25, Kira? 5. Because 5 times 5 equals 25. So you can put use that square root sign to find the square root of 25. So my radius is 5 feet. So it's what we've been doing all unit. If you put in all the numbers you know and you solve for that missing variable. Sometimes it's the volume, which makes it easy. We just have to multiply. But if we know the volume and we're solving for a different variable, that's when we have to do the dividing. And if we have something that's squared, we have to do that square root. So find the radius of a cylinder that has a height of 5 inches and a volume of 251.2 cubic inches. Use 3.14 for pi. What is that equation going to look like? Gabby? Nope, I want the equation, not what operations we're going to do. So tell me the equation. So 200, because remember, you always have to write down your equation that you're doing. So we're starting with our volume, 251.2 equals what, Gabby? 3.14, which is 5, times r squared times our height. And our height is 5. So now that we wrote the equation, remember, always write out your equation. Now we can do the math. We see we have only one letter here, our r. That's our variable that we are going to solve for. If we are multiplying 3.14 times r squared times 5, what is the opposite of multiplying, Ryan? Dividing. So we are going to divide. We can start with dividing by 3.14. What is 251.2 divided by 3.14? Zoe. Did you say 80?
Yeah.
And that equals r squared times 5. So what do I have to do next? We want to narrow it down to what just r is. So what do I have to do, Landon? I need to divide both sides by 5. 5 divided by 5 cancels out. What's 80 divided by 5?
16.
What was it, 16? So 16 equals r squared. But I want to know what r equals. If 16 equals r squared, what do I have to do to get it to be just r? Josie? Find the square root. What is the square root of 16? Aiden?
4.
4. 4 times 4 equals 16. So my radius is 4 inches. Any questions on how to do this math? All right, I am going to give us some work time to work on 167, 168. Let me just double check if we're going to do all of them. I think we are not going to do the word problems. So we do not need to do 10, 11, and 12 because we have a shorter class today. We are doing numbers 1 through 9. So we will have a bit of a work time. We will have work time and then we will do our religion Easter rosary. So for my friends at home, I hope you are well and I hope to see you soon.